Okay, fine. Let us start. Can anybody confirm? Are you able to see the
Yes,
document?
sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Document is also clear.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. We have discussed up to the types of permits. Now we'll see the details and also a procedure for the work permit formats. A work permit format which contains several sections and also provides a checklist for the issuer and also acceptor to identify the different hazards associated with the work and also what precautions and procedures need to be followed in the carrying out of the job in a safe manner. It is clear that it provides a checklist for identification of hazards and also what are the safety precautions to be followed during the performing of an activity. And details of different items is in various sections as permit below. We'll see what are the sections. It is about the sections in the permit. Job particulars. The following details relevant to the work are filled in the sections like plant. The manufacturing unit or plant on non-process facility. Area, part of the facility belongs to the plant or unit. Which area you are doing. The work permit to be issued to the person or agency who are interested to carry out the work activity. So who is the agency and also a date and a time of the permit. Then the work permit must be bear the person or employee name and also designation with this department or discipline. No permit should be issued directly to the contractor. So it is very clear that we should not issue the permit directly to the contractor. The work permit must be bear the person or employee's name and designation with his department or discipline. We should not give on the contractor. For example, project people are doing an activity. The project guy has to raise a permit on the name of the projects. The contractor will be the acceptor. And equipment tag number and also equipment name, the designation number and also name of the person equipment master list, and also easily identifiable by the people involved in the work execution. So in case of any equipment which is involved, there they have to enter the equipment tag numbers, specific limitations of the work permit, specific instruction to the work permit holder, and also job description. Job description in the sense what exactly the activity is going to be performed. Then name of the contractor who is performing an activity. If the contractor is planned for carrying out the job, the name of the contractor is to be mentioned by the person who is executing the job. In the sense, the contractor may be different. The person who is executing the job, his name should be mentioned. Then nature of the job. This is also one of the section, nature of the job. Identifying the nature of the job helps to decide the appropriate precautionary measures to be taken during the work progress. So what kind of activity? Either cold activity or hot work or excavation or vessel entry. Based on the nature of the work, we can easily identify the hazards as well as precautions. Then select the nature of the job mentioned in the hot work or vessel entry, whether the job is flame producing, spark producing or vessel entry. If it is not specified under this nature of the work, then select the other mentioning activities. Either it is mentioning flame producing or spark producing or vessel entry. If it is not meeting this, then we go for a other activity. Then checklist. In the checklist, the process equipment normally handles hazardous substance under various operating conditions. High temperatures or high pressure or jobs equipment need to be made safe from potential hazards present due to the nature of the work and also working condition due to the hazards. Tools used before can be started. They have to look for all the potential hazards. In case of involving road repair or excavation, access by the emergency services may be hindered, and also it is necessary that these services are informed before such work is carried out. For example, road service activity. In case of any road service activity is happening, any emergency equipment, for example, fire hydrant line or any other activity which is hindering, for example, which is blocking the road to go any ambulance van in case of any emergency. So those activities must be informed before carrying out. An authorized procedure should be in place for the work involving hydro jetting, hot tapping, excavation, etc. And also the compliance of these procedures ensure a safe execution of the work. So they should have a procedure for these kind of activities. For example, hot tapping, then hydrojetting, and also excavation. And they should be followed those procedures. Then before issuing the work permit, the authorized area in charge must ensure that the equipment or the area involved is safe to be proceed with the work, and no hazards could be created on the work to be done. So who is doing? Area in charge. He is going to verify the area, all the activity which is going to be performed in a safe manner, equipment and area as well. And then the following checklist identifies the various precautions required to carry out a work safely. Now we'll see some of the checklist. Isolation or blinding, which is nothing but LOTO, lockout and tagout procedure. The process isolation can be achieved by following methods. How we'll do isolation? Isolation in the sense removing of a pipeline or complete drain or applying a blind. By closing isolation valve, tight shut, and also keep drain or vent valve open between the equipment and also isolation valve. One is we have to closing isolation valve tight shut. So whatever the pipe you are going for taking an isolation, we have to switch off the isolation valve. And also keeping a drain and also vent between the line open. So what will happen? A drain or vent in the sense which is for the taking out of the material which is in between, so that it will take out the excess material. And by closing the double block walls and keep between a bleed system open, by closing isolation valve tight shut and also inserting a blind, by physical disconnection of pipelines, or by closing a motor operated valve and also isolating power supply to the drive motor. These are the various types of isolations. The isolation method item A and B of or reliable and also should not be adopted for the jobs involving hot work, entry into confined spaces vessels, and also for the services of hazardous chemicals. Option A and B. These we should not be taken or adopted for the jobs involving hot work. Wherever the hot work will be involved in that activity, we should not allow this kind of isolation, and also entry into confined spaces or vessels, and also other services of hazardous chemicals. In case of any hazardous chemicals lines you are doing isolation, we should not choose option A and B. Then positive isolation by slip blinding, and all open lines have to be ended blind where equipment is to be removed. And effective process of isolation have to be ensured by issuer depending on nature and also duration of the work. So this has to be considered. Effective process isolation have to be ensured by the issuer depending on nature and also duration of the work. This has to be maintained in the work permit procedure. At what conditions the isolation has to be ensured by the issuer. If the isolation valve are not passing isolation by closing the valves by a sufficient or job like breaking lines for the strainer and cleaning preventive maintenance jobs of a pumps, and also changing of the gauges or process equipment, the issuer should decide whether such a isolation is adequately safe or not. Whatever the activities which are performing in the sentence, isolation of valves or not passing isolation by closing the valve by the sufficient of job like breaking line for a strainer cleaning, or preventive maintenance jobs on the pumps, and also changing of gauge on process equipment. The issuer has to decide whether isolation is adequate, safe, or not. Then job involving hot work entry into confined spaces, positive isolation by inertization, insertion of slip binds, and also physical disconnection, also blinding, live ends or necessary. Wherever the hot work, it is also very important. The job involving into confined space, positive isolation by insertion of slip binds or physical disconnection, and also blinding, live ends or necessary. Then isolation, do not operate tag. It is also very much required. It's telling that we have to keep the do not operate tag on the isolation area. All isolation should carry isolation tags on do not operate, and a record of tagging and also removal should be maintained. So there we should maintain the record. What is the tag number? What is the lock number? And the LOTO record has to be maintained. And all isolation tags shall be removed after completion. An area operator or issuer is responsible for securely attaching the isolation tags to the equipment valves. Area operator or issuer, they are going to be responsible for this isolation and also removing the same after the completion of work. Then depressurizing or draining, which is nothing but taking out of the line or removing of the chemicals inside the pipeline. Then washing or steaming and purging, it may be required for the decontamination of intended equipments. So this will be used for the cleaning of a line activities. Then electrical isolation and restoration. A procedure for electrical work to be followed, electrical work permit with a date to be mentioned at appropriate place in the permit, tagging to be done by all the agents as per the procedure. So all the agencies, in the sense, whoever is involving in that activity, production people, maintenance people, instrumentation people, contractors, whoever is involving, all the people has to be tagged. Then mechanically blocked to avoid rotation. For the jobs on rotating equipments, the motor or any other rotating part must be completely stopped and before working on it. So any rotating equipment which you are working, it must be stopped completely and it has to apply a LOTO. And use non-sparking tools required. Wherever you are working in hazardous atmosphere, there we have to use this non-sparking tools. Then necessary arrangements for preventing ignition sources, sparks coming in contact with the combustible hydrocarbon should be made. Example of a case using fire resistant blankets, welding or gas cutting, and also grinding operations generate a spark slag which spread to the surrounding area that lead to a fire or explosion. Wherever there is a chance of ignition sources or sparks, those must be controlled. An adequate fire protection measure should be specified to avoid the spread of sparks and also confining the work activity and also arresting the sparks locally. Then surrounding area, hot lines, valve glands, plant joints, severe openings should be checked and also covered with a fire resistance blankets. If the severe drain channels containing hazardous or flammable liquids, vapor, steam, condensate, hot liquids, etc. exit near the work area, they are required to be covered effectively by following. So any steam lines or steam traps, wherever the condensation steam will generate. So those has to be covered effectively. Avoid potential exposure of working person to the health hazard. Avoid fire hazards due to the sparks or welding or slag. And avoid hazardous paper being served into confined spaces or vessels in case of work involving in a confined space. Sometimes whatever the emissions or the gases which is generating, Sometimes it may having a density, it will have a tendency to go in a lower side. So sometimes it may get into the confined space. A necessary temporary crossover barricading should be provided to prevent the working persons falling into a drain or severe. In case if people are working in a drain or in a severe line, there they should provide proper railing. Then portable fire extinguisher is also very important. Wherever hard work is carrying out, appropriate fire extinguisher should be made available in the work area. It is necessary. Running water hose. If the hard work is carrying out in hazardous area, a fire water hose connected to the fire hydrant is to be kept ready so that it can be used when in case of any emergency arises. Fire hose and fire extinguisher. So this relates to the hard work, and this hose will be also relates to the hard work. And return earthing cable should be provided height procedure, not only height procedure, every work we should have a procedure. Wherever there is no fixed platform, there we have to provide this temporary platforms. If you see here, a proper portable ladder provided or suitable scaffolding to be provided while working at height, and where no permanent platform are available, which means permanent platform which is not there, or there we have to provide this. There ladders, temporary, fixed or mobile, platforms or scaffoldings must be provided. In no case of makeshift arrangements like drums, we should not use any drums for such kind of activity. Yes, Rahul.
Sir, for this ladders and all, wherever we are using, let's say 10 feet of ladder, their safety belt is mandatory, sir. Because we will be
As per
using
the
ladders
point
in such.
above 1.8 meters greater, the permit is required.
Sir, sorry, but out of topic, this question would be.
Yeah.
The belt is required, sir.
Yes,
If
required.
we are using ladder.
If you're yeah, if it yes, it is required based on the circumstances you're working, Rahul. Sometimes what will happen, even from 3 feet height also, there are cases the people are met like fatal cases. So we should not say that either it is 1 meter or 1.5 meter, 1.8 meter. Wherever there is a chance of a potential fall, and where whatever the position he is working, sometimes maintenance people they'll not be in such a position, they will be comfortable in standing and working on the ladder. In such cases, wherever there is a potential to slip, where there is a potential to fall, there definitely we have to provide a safety belt. It is up to the practically how the workplace. We can't say it is mandatorily required. It all depends on the work and also the area and the circumstances.
Yeah, convinced
That is
with
in
sir,
that is
because
in a personal call actually, based on the
yeah,
work activity.
few areas we cannot because lifeline won't be there or some to
Yeah.
tax,
Sometimes
right?
and will not have any a fixed structure to put the belt also.
True, sir. True, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so similar cases, if is there any mandatory that if height is like 10 feet, 12 feet, if I mean, my question is, if the height is keep on increasing, then it comes as a mandatory or it is not such a way?
No, it is mandatory. 1.8 meter, you are saying above the permit has to be taken. Once we refer the work permit, they will definitely say that fall protection has to be considered. There it will link.
No, sir.
First is
Sorry.
height. The first is height. Once you are doing at that height, then the permit will refer you to use the safety belt.
No, I mean, we have assist the area and around 10 feet height, I need to work. And
Okay.
where scissor lifter or something like that, it won't be suitable. Ladder only I need to use.
Okay.
Okay. And I do not have any provision for belt, wearing the
Mhm.
belt and locking it.
Okay.
Okay. But as we standard practice, we say above 1.8 meter belt is required.
Yes.
But if the practical possibility is not there, we have we are saying not required. Okay, you safely you do like that. We are saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
In such cases,
is the
what we have to do is generally we'll get this portable aluminum scaffolds will come, movable portable scaffolds. So those kind of scaffolds can be attached and detachable type will be there, portable. Then we have to suggest such kind of scaffolds, Rahul.
okay, sir. Yeah,
Because
thank you.
ladder may not be feasible in all the locations, but some critical locations we can suggest these kind of scaffolds.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
In that circumstances only, sir. I mean,
Yeah.
3 feet for sorry, 2 meter, 3 meter. We can say okay, manage and do. But is there any uh, firm or thumb practices like if above this height, if you go, whether lifeline is there or whatever is not there, it is not at all a concern. You need to wear the belt and tag it somewhere. That
If
we
you ask
cannot
me,
tell, sir.
yeah.
We
If you
need to.
ask me like that, as per the rule, if it is above 1.8 meter, definitely you have to use a safety belt. Whatever it means, you have either if it is not there, then you have to make a provision for the lifeline and you have to use a belt in such a
Okay.
case.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sir. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. If you see here, in no case make a shift arrangement like drums. We should not use drums at all. Sometimes the people used to bring suddenly they'll bring with one drum or bucket. They'll make us the people to use. Okay, it should not be done. There are different types of ladders they can use, either aluminum, wooden, or FRP, etc., etc. Then scaffolding is certified for use. Scaffolding should be certified before use and also suitable tags to be provided. How will be? There will be different kinds of tag systems are there. All the scaffolds must be tagged. Then only the people should use those scaffolds. Then radioactive sources isolation. If the radioactive source is present or nearby equipment where the maintenance work is to be performed, and the radioactive source should be isolated before such a work is started. And if isolation is not possible, the source must be physically removed. If it is not possible, then it has to be removed from the location. Then welding, cutting, grinding operation generate a spark or slag which is spread to the surrounding area and may lead to fire and explosion. Adequate fire protection system measures should be specified to avoid the spread of sparks and also confining work activities and also arresting spores locally. Additional fire protection measures like wetting the nearby area by spraying a water and also a wet fire blanket can be provided. Wherever it is not possible, then there we can use as an additional fire protection fire blankets or making the area wet. Then escape route should be checked and also cleared. So this is also very important. Before any work permit is issued, especially for the hard work, confined space, the issue to ensure that the safe escape route is available. There should not be any obstructions or hindrance in the escape route. This is also considered in case of any emergency happens, how the people have to be escaped. Then ventilation should be ensured. For the jobs in the confined spaces, the additional air supply is to be made using either air hose or air mover or air blower. Isolation, a blinding, also nearby nitrogen line is to be ensured. So in case of any nearby nitrogen line, sometimes the nitrogen can be also pulled into the confined space by this air suppliers or ventilation system. So in case of any nitrogen line which is clear by, the blinding of nearby nitrogen to be ensured in the vessel entry. Then proper illumination should be available. 24 volts flame-proof hand look lamp should be used. And also for the jobs in confined spaces, only 24-volt flame-proof hand lamp to be used. If the lighting is required for any job involving release of any flammable vapors of the work is carried out in the hazardous area, it is mandatory to use flame-proof electrical equipment. Only flame-proof 24 volts electric hand lamp should be used, and the use of 230 volts hand lamp inside the confined space or vessel is prohibited. Use of 230 volts hand lamp inside the confined space, which is prohibited. Only we have to use 24 volts. After completion of preparation for the vessel entry, okay, entry tag is to be displayed by the issuer on manhole. After completion of preparation of vessel entry, okay to enter tag. See here, okay to enter tag is to be displayed by the issuer on the manhole. Who is going to be displayed? Issuer. Then standby person or a fireman. A trained standby person must be always available at the manhole of the tank during the confined space entry. The requirement of standby fireman is to be decided by the control room shift in charge for the work involving in a confined space, or one person is required to be a guard outside the confined space or vessel. It is important that a fireman or a standby man, they must be at the work area where it is happening to monitor the people. Then personal protective equipment. All the employees are required to wear a safety helmet and safety goggles, hand gloves, and also safety shoes as personal protective equipment in the work area. Additional PPEs to be specified by the issuer depending upon the work nature and also the hazards involved in the activity. General PPEs will be helmet, shoes, goggles, and gloves. Apart from this, in case of based on the hazards in an area, then he will suggest what kind of PPEs to be used. The agency undertaking the job will be arrangement of the protective appliances. So who will arrange in case of an agency or contractor is doing? He will arrange the protective appliances which are required for that activity. Then hand gloves for the various kind of activities, ear protection for the ear plugs, and face protection for the additional PPEs protecting eyes and also face, and full body double lifeline safety harness. A safety belt with lifeline is a fall arrest device. Only full body safety harness with a double lifeline to be used. It is to be specified in the case of persons are required to work from height 1.5 meters or above on unprotected surfaces, structures, or fragile roofs. The lifeline is to be anchored with a secured structure. If you see here, it is specified in the case of person is working in unprotected surfaces or structures or fragile roofs. There he has to use a full body harness. Body protection, a persons are required to use a protective suit or hazardous for hazardous activity for the protection against the potential splash of chemicals, and also excessive heat, fire, hot substances, or cryogenic liquids or other substances, which means the full body suits, PVC suits, aluminized glass fiber suits, PVC suit with the hood, and also cold suits. These are the different kinds of suits they'll use for their body protection. Then foot or leg protection, which is nothing but safety shoes or gumboots. Then online air breathing apparatus. The job involving chemical vapor or dust must be done by wearing online air mask, or requirement needs to be mounted. Online in the sense continuous air supply. Then airline mask, SCBA or cartridge gas mask. Different types of respirators are used for the respiratory protection against toxic gas, vapor, fumes. These are airline mask, self-contained breathing apparatus, or cartridge. These are the various types of air mask which they supposed to use. Yeah. When a person is likely to be exposed to toxic substances during the work, either in an open or confined space, appropriate respiratory protection is required to be specified. A respiratory protection is also required where the work environment is inert or oxygen concentration is less than 20%. So this has to be remembered. Where the respiratory protection is required, inert or oxygen concentration less than 20%. A cartridge gas mask is not suitable for the use of work environment which is deficient of oxygen and also containing inert gases. Cartridge mask ఇక్కడ ఒక చిన్న పిలకల్లాగా వస్తుంది సైడ్ లో అవి ఏంటంటే ఇన్నర్ట్ గ్యాస్ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ లో ఇంకా ఆక్సిజన్ తక్కువ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ లో ఇట్ షుడ్ నాట్ బి యూజ్డ్. A person required to use respiratory equipment must be trained also validated. Whoever is using this respiratory equipment, he has to be trained how to use and what is the purpose and how it can be cleaned or maintained and also validated. A dust mask is specified where the person is likely to be exposed to the hazardous dust or any fibrous dust. This is in a general dust mask. Okay. Again, a gas test. A gas test for oxygen content or hydrocarbon content and toxic content if in vessel or tank used for chemical toxic in nature or to be carried out by a permit issuer. To the permit issuer for carrying out the jobs covered under hard work or vessel entry or for entry into excavated pits and also vehicle entry inside the plant area. So the issuer will do a gas test. The name and the time of the person carrying the test shall be mentioned in a respective permits, and it is proposed to carry out the gas test of the hydrocarbon content, which means LEL, within 5 meters radius of the work location for the welding jobs, including a drain clearance or channels and close to the flange joints and also valve glands and also adjacent equipment. So the LEL must be checked within 5-meter radius from all these equipments. In case of spark producing activity, effective arrangements for the prevention of ignition source coming into the contact with the combustible hydrocarbon should be made by providing booths or cage made of fire resistant material. So in case such kind of activity is happening, there we have to make a booth stating it should not allow to spread the sparks or any slag which is throwing out of the work activity. Then permissible value of gas test results. If any gas test indicates the presence of flammable toxic gas or vapor or oxygen deficiency, a corrective corrosive actions has to be taken to make a condition safe for the carrying out of before using of a work permit. I think now we have less than a minute. I'm stopping here. We will continue in the next session. Okay. I'll share this document after the completion of the topics, completion of this work permit topic. Okay.